Hello, Richard Firminger. Thanks for joining us for this interview. You're Managing Director for Flurry Europe. Thank you very much for joining. Can you please present Flurry to someone who don't know yet your company besides the well-known studies you publish regularly, please?
Of course. Our mission statement is to optimize the mobile experience. And the bedrock of our company is analytics. We provide analytics for more app developers than anyone else on the planet. Current count is about 350,000 apps for about 110,000 companies, and we see over 1 billion active smart devices a month. What we look to do with that data is two or three things. One, power our own ad network. It's called App Circle. It's been going about 3 years, cost per install, CPC, and cost per completed video view. Second is to power our ad serving platform. It's called AppSpot. That enables direct sales, it enables mediation, and it enables programmatic buying. And then thirdly, we're launching Flurry Marketplace next Tuesday. It goes into general release, and we're having a celebration in New York next week.
Okay.
All of the glue that holds all of these platforms together is data, because we know more about what people are doing inside apps than anyone else on the planet. We're looking to profile more devices than anyone else with data signals like age and gender, and very media-friendly personas like young moms, sports fans, fashionistas, business travelers, and the such like. So we're really looking to make a high impact in the mobile ad economy over the next few years.
Okay. Mobile space start to be really crowded. So what makes Flurry stand out among the new players? And I mean mobile, but also web-based companies that start to aggressively invest in mobile.
It's not so crowded, I will say that. I was in the early days of the web advertising, and I would say there were well over 500 suppliers in the market in the early days of desktop advertising. And I think in mobile, we probably, meaningful suppliers, we probably have less than 50. So it's not so crowded.
Okay.
I would say our differentiation is clearly our data. It's taken us 5 years to be the world's most popular analytics provider for in-app developers. And I think we're just starting out. It's just the beginning of how we leverage that data for both the benefit of our own ad network, for the benefit of our own bidder, and for the benefit of the programmatic ecosystem and the Flurry Marketplace. So I think the thing that you can't replicate is getting your software into 350,000 apps. That is a very, very time-consuming, very, very costly process to achieve this. It takes us a bewildering number of servers, and we own and run our own server farms. We have over 3,500 servers. That competitive advantage, I think, will lead, develop, drive, support everything that we do going forward. I think we've got to drive material benefit for publishers, so they monetize their audience, they monetize their consumers, they monetize their impressions more effectively. It's also got to drive great advantage so that advertisers can be more scientific, can tune their campaigns to reach their target audience, and can deliver and leverage better ROI. So I don't think anyone in the marketplace today can replicate what Flurry does.
Mm-hmm. So what is exactly your business model, which means which side, publisher or advertiser, do you invoice? So we obviously support both. AppSpot, our ad management system that I referred to earlier, is a supply-side platform, and therefore we support publishers to effectively sell themselves directly, and we're doing that with the Guardian newspaper today. And so we're enabling publishers to be more effective in monetization and make more revenue from mobile advertising. In the same breath, obviously with Flurry Marketplace, we are looking to support DSPs and trading desks and other bidders to be a more effective buyer, as I mentioned earlier. So we think our data is very valuable. We know that brand advertisers
are beginning to lean in. They probably haven't invested anywhere near as much as they might. I think one of the things that are holding them back is being able to reach their customers at scale. If you're a Procter & Gamble and you sell primarily to the primary decision maker for the household buying, and that's the mum, they need to reach mums. Yes, in mobile content environments, yes, in games, but they need to reach mums. And they need to fish where the fish are. So Flurry wants to work with publishers like Rovio, like Outfit 7, like Zeptolab, like Halfbrick, but also with The Guardian, with Skype, with Shazam, to enable them to just be more effective media owners. And also to enable brands to reach their target audience without wastage.
Okay. In your range of product, I think you have an app tracking tool for channel acquisition. Did you develop your own fingerprint solution besides the classic device ID tracking? And how do you see competition in that space, which is really fierce, with Azophers, Addix being bought recently by Criteo, AppsFlyer, and others?
Yeah, it's an interesting market. I think, listen, we're a data company, so we love tools and technologies that enable buyers to be better at what they do. And I think AdX and AdTruth and AdEven and HasOffers and AppsFlyer and Flurry user acquisition analytics, it's a bit of a mouthful. We're all in the business of making advertising on mobile less of an art and more of a science. And we applaud everyone that's trying to do that. We understand that, Criteo's position might be to make a signature, a connection between the desktop, the mobile web, and in-app. We know that over 80% of content access in smart devices is via native apps. So having an understanding of what's effective in advertising in a native app is a primary concern to many, many advertisers around the world, whether you're Groupon, whether you're King, whether you're Supercell, or whether you're Wonga. And so UAA is a free tool. It's part of the Flurry SDK. It's part of the analytics service. It's just another feature inside a very, very broad and deep set of features for Flurry Analytics. And we're delighted to support well over 2,500 advertisers today, and we only launched it at the beginning of the year. So its adoption has been incredibly exciting. However, we do also recognize that companies like HasOffers and indeed AdX are doing a great job. The more, as I say, the more tools there are out there to make advertisers smarter at what they do, to enable them to invest more, has got to be a good thing. And there's a halo effect for everyone. If you look back a year ago, most advertisers were paying a lot of money, and it was all guesswork, and no one really knew what they were getting for their dollars and for their euros. I think that market has dramatically changed in the last 12 months, and it's really good to see. And I'm excited to see that there are lots of very intelligent, innovative entrepreneurs out there, including Flurry, that are doing a great job at helping advertisers just get better at this stuff.
Okay, thanks.
That's right.
I guess you already do a great business with agencies. So what is the balance? Because my point of view is you are really close to app publishers.
Yes.
So do you start to talk to big five agency and selling branding on your network campaigns and stuff?
We're beginning to. I would say it's less than 20% of our revenue, but it's probably the fastest growing source of new advertising. I think up until 2013, unless you had an app to promote, you probably couldn't really engage fully with the Flurry network. And that's changed this year. And that's changed because we do CPC. We can drive users to the mobile web. We've become rich media enabled with Medialets and Seltzer and the such like. And we do video, and we do cost-driven video view. So we do have this year a lot more compelling products for brands and agencies. We also have hired dedicated agency guys. But myself and our head of sales, Simon Pod, our wheelhouse, our experience, our background is in agencies. I've spent 20 years with Havas and with WPP and with Aegis and with Omnicom. And so I know all these guys. I spent a week in Cannes in the summer and raising our profile there. So, and at ATS yesterday, it's clear that Flurry is in a very well-known brand, even with agencies in mind. Whereas you're right, you expect any app developer kind of knows Flurry because if you want an analytics provider, you're going to turn to Flurry probably as your primary and your first choice. But agencies have got lots more choice. So it's heartening to see this year that I think all the efforts and work that I've done with my team over the last 2.5 years in raising Flurry's profile, but also developing products, like I said, that are more relevant to agencies and advertisers. So we have a dedicated guy here that's only selling to agencies these days. He joined us in the spring. So we're already seeing, great benefit of that with campaigns like GSK and Aquafresh toothpaste. We're seeing Sky Sports come on board. We're seeing E.ON, which is a energy utility supplier. Pepsi Cola. We're already seeing, great benefit of having both products that are relevant and dedicated sales force.
All right. You offer a free analytical tool. What is your answer to publishers who wonder why it's free and what Flurry do with my data? Is there some data leaking that I don't know Flurry is gathering and selling outside? So what is your answer to this question?
Sure. So we give it away for free, and it's a very powerful tool. It helps you understand, basically what happens to your app once it's downloaded. And that's incredibly valuable data, and what they get out of that is the insights will enable you to be a smarter, more effective, more profitable developer, whether you produce a game, an instant messenger app, a photo sharing app, or a music streaming app. And we're right at the beating heart of what's critical as a business tool to help developers be more successful. In return, we do provide some aggregation data that we also give back to the developer. Two examples of that are benchmarking. So in each category, you can benchmark your performance for things like sessions, frequency, and retention against everyone in your category in the store. So hugely valuable insight. We also summarize and profile your audience by age, by gender, and persona. So again, you know to a very accurate degree who's actually downloading your application. So, you might think you've built a game that's popular for young men. Turns out that middle-aged women love it more. And therefore, that's incredibly important input to the design cycle. It also takes the opinion off the table. Often in design meetings with developers, it's he who shouts loudest will get the dominant direction. Where actually someone in the room should say, well, wait a minute, Flurry tells us that actually our audience are teenagers. So we really need to think about how we build the next iteration of our endless runner so that we really make sure that we look after our primary audience, which turns out to be teenagers. I've just made that example up. So in return, on an anonymous basis, on an aggregated basis, we're obviously looking to take all of that data, which on an aggregated basis becomes Flurry's domain, to enable us to both monetize publishers' inventory more effectively. So everyone that uses the Flurry software can also, with the same software, become a publisher. We are seeking to make more money out of each user than anyone else can by leveraging that data, leveraging that aggregated data. And also to help advertisers. Again, the same SDK can enable you as an advertiser. So we kind of, over the last 20 minutes, we talked about how we want to provide great services for both for developers, for publishers, and for advertisers. So I think it's a fair quid pro quo, to be honest, because you're getting the sort of software that the likes of Omniture might charge you, tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars for. And in return, on an anonymous basis, and I want to stress that, we don't use any specific data. We don't publicize any one specific proprietary data. We don't we don't do anything that would provide or communicate anything that's sensitive. But on an aggregated basis, so hey, we know a lot about games users, but we also know those games users like photo sharing apps. They like music sharing apps. They like other hardcore games. So it's because we track 350,000 apps and maybe somewhere around 20 apps per device. We know what every user's doing when they're not in one app and they're in others. So, that has a benefit to the whole ecosystem.
All right. You've launched in April the Flurry marketplace, so which means that all your inventory from your publisher would be available on a programmatic basis.
Yes.
What are the next move from you? You mentioned a release next week earlier. What is it exactly?
Yeah, so we've been in beta since April. Actually, we've not gone into GA yet. So only by invitation could you have played a part in the testing phase. So we've had 30 or 40 beta publishers, and we've currently, I think, now got 12 demand side platforms or bidders, and we go into general release next week. So
all right,
what we've designed here is at scale the sort of data that we think brands and trading desks are going to be very interested in. I've mentioned them before: age, gender, and personas, and provide those as part of the impression, as part of the request. But most importantly, the buyer doesn't actually have to pay a premium for that data. And we're seeking to cure what we see as blindness in the ecosystem. Every impression is not the same, and if you can use the Flurry advantage, you can actually know who you're buying and therefore bid accordingly. So as I mentioned before, if you're an airline, you really want to reach frequent travelers. We know who are frequent travelers by the time they spend in certain apps. That might be a car rental app, that might be an airport app, that might be a hotel booking app. Currency conversion, and so we know who frequently travels. That's very, very interesting data for British Airways, Lufthansa, American Airlines, or indeed hotels.com, booking.com, carrental.com, and the such likes. So we think we're just starting out. It's just the beginning of what impact we think we can have on programmatic buying, and we're excited to launch it officially next week in New York.
Okay. You are responsible for the whole Europe. What is your opinion about the late start of the French market, which is 4 times below the UK and 2 times below Germany, in my point of view? What is the reason, according to you?
A good question. I think the good news is that in Europe there's a lot of great innovation. It may not necessarily be in France, but I think if we all put our European hat on, we can see, some companies really doing amazingly well, from, Social Quantum, Game Insight, Supercell, obviously our friends at Rovio, Natural Motion, Outfit 7, Zeptolab. They're some of the most amazingly exciting developers. Shazam was started in the UK. I think even Skype might have been started in the UK. So your specific question about France. Now let me think. We see some, certainly I'm going to pick out a couple. Maybe we think Gameloft are doing some really interesting stuff. Despicable Me, Minion Rush has really done super well. I mean, yes, it's beginning to wane, but I think it's a cracking little endless runner. And I think the Minions are an engaging character. I think Despicable Me 3 will all be about the Minions, and I think that's got great longevity. And it's very interesting to see, someone like, is it 20th Century Fox or Universal Despicable Me? I think it's Universal. It's great to see, a film producer, license the IP to a specialist mobile game developer like Gameloft and take that to market and really crack it. So, there is some, but I think broadly, the French seem to love their free content more than anyone else. They are less willing to pay, and I think there is a bit of a missed opportunity there because I think there's some great content that some developers will only release into stores that are premium, not freemium. But the market is definitely shifting in France's favor, and I think we all know that the sort of the freemium versus premium debate is a little yesterday's debate. And, if you want to scale your business, you've got to release the content into the stores for free and then look to monetize either through in-app purchase, real world purchase, or advertising, or a combination therein. I'd like to see the next supercell come out of somewhere in France, and I think that will happen. It's only a matter of time. There's some great skills, there's some great innovation, there's some great entrepreneurs, and there is no reason why we can't see another Spotify, another supercell coming out of France.
Definitely, yeah. So, final question. Yesterday, one of the major SSP, Mopub, was bought by Twitter, 350 million euros. What is your thoughts about that in terms of the mobile space? Yeah, and it's a big player, Twitter, of course. So
sure. I think its primary obvious objective is to build its own exchange platform. Mopub has proven to be a strong platform. I think it has delivered great monetization services for publishers up until now. I think through manual mediation and through programmatic buying, I think it's done well. I think it's also plugged into a lot of DSPs. I think, however, if I was looking objectively at what's going on here, I think Twitter's going to use the platform to build its own exchange. It's going to be primarily interested in its own proprietary imagery, its own first-party data. I think if I was a publisher at Mopub, I would be concerned right now as to what is the ongoing investment and have I slipped down the food chain, and therefore might it trigger me to review my supply-side platform relationships and look elsewhere. If I was a major publisher currently on the Mopub platform today, I might be questioning whether I should continue with Mopub or go find another partner, because the technology, I think, is interested Twitter. I don't think they have any interest in supporting third parties.
Mm-hmm. All right. Cool. Thank you very much for your time, Richard.
That's all right.
And cheers, and speak later.
Yeah, thanks very much. Really appreciate that.